Let's start this video off with a wild question. What's a song name you've seen multiple artists or bands use, not including covers or remixes? Some examples I can think of are Hold On by Alabama Shakes, John Lennon, Tom Waits, Jet, Justin Bieber, or Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, Cranberries, Allman Brothers, Beck, and Van Halen, to name a few. But after some digging, I think I found a pretty good contender. It is songs called Home. That seems like a weird choice since it doesn't have the word love in it, but there's two reasons why I went with it. One, there's multiple well-known or commercially successful songs called Home, and two, more often than not, I see people genuinely confuse them for one another, either because of releasing around the same time or, from what I've noticed at least, sounding kinda similar. That's why today we're looking at a bunch of songs called Home to see which ones fit the stereotypes and which ones try to do their own thing. The only rule, the title can't have anything else in the name besides Home, so no At Home by Slow Pulp or Sanitarium by Metallica. It either goes big or it goes home.
Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my mom and pop.
This is one I'm sure most of you have heard, Home by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. This one came out during the mid-2000s when indie folk was starting to get really big because of them, Bon Iver, Sufjan Stevens. This would also lead to the creation of Stomp Clap Hey a few years later, but we'll get more into that. I'm not gonna lie, there was a time when I was really into this type of music. Like this, Gregory Alan Isakov, Paper Kites, that used to be my shit when I was 17. Nowadays, I think this stuff is kinda cheesy. It's just a little too coffee shop for me. That's the best way I can describe it. But, you know, it's still nostalgic. Like, this song is my equivalent to a dude hearing Love Story, you know? I'll pretend to hate it, but miraculously know all the lyrics when I'm 6 peepers deep on karaoke night. And to its credit, there are things I genuinely like about it. There's a lot of cool instrumentation, like the whistling during the intros, the twangy lead guitar. One of my favorite parts is the bridge, where the singers are talking to each other and you hear all this build up behind them. I especially love the last chorus when the horns play behind the vocals. It makes this part very triumphant, a great way to cap off the song. Like I said, it's a bit cheesy, but still a good song.
Dancing in the kitchen in the pale moonlight, only care in the world is that our kids are...
Blue October's a band I feel I know more of. I used to listen to Sirius XM a lot in high school, so maybe it was from there, I don't know. But would you look at that, they also got a song called Home, and it's not that good to be honest. This is a song that feels it was intentionally written to be sad. I'm never against sad or emotional music, but that shit needs to come naturally, or else you play too much into that mood and it sounds forced. This song is a good example of it being forced. The singer's inflection, the lyrics, the acoustic guitar, it all comes off as sappy.
'Cause I gotta be the glue for my girl, my friends, my home.
The choruses are the biggest culprit. Not only are the vocal melodies overly busy, they also add all these yeahs in the background that are so unfitting it's hilarious.
I'll be happy to say that daddy loves mama and mama loves him. Tomorrow we get...
I mean, it's impressive he can sing all that, but it's overwhelming as a listener. Like, I can't sing along to this. I apologize to the 5 Blue October fans that like this song, but it's so sappy, I made some pancakes to go with it.
So many nights I thought it over. Told myself I can't.
So I remember I was 12 or 13 around the time One Direction was at their peak popularity, and back then guys that age would just hate them on principle alone. You couldn't get me to listen to One Direction even if you paid me. Then one of my friends made me a playlist of them, and you know, it didn't convert me into a diehard Larry shipper, but I think I respect him a little more now. Thanks to the playlist, I found out they also have a song called Home. It's okay, you know, what I've noticed about One Direction music is it's kinda hard to talk about since it's so formulaic. That's not intentionally a bad thing. Weezer songs are formulaic, and y'all know how I feel about them. It's like anything you expect a song to do, it does. The vocals change here, they go to a chorus here, the solo goes here. And to be fair, I think it's catchy, like I'm definitely bopping my head to the chorus. But really, that's the bare minimum a song can do. The only thing that stood out to me were the electric guitar parts. They're not soloing, but doing some cool rhythmic ambient shit that fills space pretty nice.
I made this feel like home.
Again, nothing crazy, but it's harmless. Anyone who thought I was gonna go on a massive tirade about why this song sucks, sorry, you're about 9 years too late for that joke. Here's a video of Stuart Copeland yelling at Sting to make up for it.
Modern Drummer magazine is gonna be fucking devoted to that drum fill, you...
Well, I can't believe that my lime tree is dead. I thought it was sleeping.
I've told myself I gotta listen to more Jack Johnson since the first time I saw the Curious George movie when I was like 6. Yes, I said that as a 6-year-old. So to finally do something about it, next we got his song called Home. And to start off, I want to say this is a great song to listen to when you're riding slowly on a bike. All the parts have a gentle push to them. The drum brushes, the guitar slides, it's steady but open at the same time.
So I try to understand what I can.
Another highlight for me is the accordion. All it does is hold out chords, and I feel like Jack could have used any instrument to fill that space. But the accordion feels like a very unorthodox choice that gives the song a whole new dimension.
All the seeds from the fruit buried and begin their own family trees.
So far, this one's my favorite. It definitely has some of those consistencies I mentioned in the intro, but Jack's style is one I get behind, so it doesn't feel cheesy or mushy. There's a lot of cool guitar parts on this one. He's not doing just like lame open chords, I swear. I've never heard of this MORGXN guy, but I do know Walk the Moon, because their singer looks like if Chad Kroeger worked at the Starbucks inside a college library. This is the first song we're looking at that doesn't have acoustic guitar. Yeah, wow, a song called Home that isn't living out the stereotype. It's just a shame it's not that great. The bass line is groovy, I'll give it that, but what kills it for me are the drums. It starts out with a simple 4-count pattern on the kick during the verse, but it stays on that the whole song. And to be fair, they add things like tambourine and hand drums to spice it up later, but it makes the last chorus feel so anticlimactic when all the other parts have evolved throughout the song and the drums are still doing this. Like, everything else sounds good. The lyrics and tone aren't mushy, no acoustic guitar. It just goes to show one thing can hinder a song. Not flat out ruin it, just more like underwhelming. Anytime I was a kid and had the radio on, nothing got me to change the channel faster than seeing 3 Days Grace play next. They're not awful, just kinda boring. And there's no greater atrocity than making music boring. Like, that's an accomplishment on its own. As is the case for their song, Home. This song is so predictable in so many ways. The guitar riffs are generic, the drums are whatever. The biggest thing for me are the lyrics. The word choice is so lame, you can literally guess the rhymes. I'm not saying I'm a better lyricist, but this shit sounds like a first draft before you whip out the thesaurus. This song just kind of exists. Nothing really wowed me. No weird instrument choices, melodies, mix-ups. I was just waiting for it to end. In some ways, I was homesick, because I was sick of this song called Home. Over the summer, I got really into Joe Walsh's solo album Barnstorm, for no reason at all. I heard Here We Go on my Discover Weekly, and then that shit was on repeat for 2 weeks. I'm not even that huge into the Eagles, and yet here we are, discussing one of Joe Walsh's songs called Home. I like this one a lot. It uses acoustic guitar, but has some psychedelics thanks to the electric guitar. It also sounds like they're in an open tuning. The chords have a particular voicing that just, ooh, it stimulates my neurons. The song's pretty lax, but one part I love is at the end when the bass plays this really fast double time riff. It comes in pretty suddenly and kinda sticks out, but in a good way. Sometimes when you get lost in the sauce, you know, sauce being music, you just can't contain yourself. It's just they didn't need to do that, but I'm glad they did. I don't really have much else to say. This is a great song. Give it a listen.
Pray for tomorrow, but
For a while, my favorite Foo Fighters album was ESPG. I remember this was the first album I bought digitally off iTunes, and it came with a bonus track called Once and For All. Listen to that when you get a chance, it's a great song. But the album's last song, if you could imagine, was called Home. I listened to this one a lot because it doesn't sound like a traditional Foo Fighters song. Instead of guitar being the main instrument, it's piano, because most of the song is just that and vocals. It's very pretty, listen to this.
echoes in silence, patience and
Going back to what I said about Blue October, this song is sad and yeah, it was probably intentional, but it doesn't feel like a trope. The Foo Fighters actually know how to compose fitting melodies. It's competent and says what it needs to say. If you happen to cry, well, that's on you. My favorite part is the bridge. You got these strings playing a simple melody over the piano, but the drums and bass come in too. This distinguishes itself from the rest of the song, since it's the only part that has a rhythm section, and it pushes it to the outro for that final resolution. None of this feels forced. That's why it's a good song. You can't force sadness. That's genetic. Ooh, anything to bully Aaron Lewis. Yeah, this song is bad. Not just because it's post-grunge, it's just genuinely written bad. For starters, there's way too much going on in the verses. Both guitars are noodling in different ears, the bass is pretty sparse, nothing is locking in with the drums, so it all comes off super disorienting in a bad way.
force myself through another day. Can't
The choruses are better with this since the guitars just play power chords that match the drums, but the bridge has the exact problem too. The rhythm is doing a picking pattern while the lead does a slide thing behind it. Problem is, you can barely hear the lead over the muddy chords, and it doesn't even fit that well. At the very least, this song has acoustic guitar, so it checks that box off, but besides that, it's just bad on a fundamental level. The only thing that would make it better was if Aaron Lewis played it while yelling at you at a show.
If you don't shut the fuck up, you can't even hear the guitar.
Okay, this one's just really short. I don't listen to Breaking Benjamin, but this singer is hilarious. He's doing the Eddie Vedder impression of the century while singing about Wizard of Oz.
There's a man named Elton with an all you can grin.
Any shred of seriousness or tension I felt are just utterly ruined. How can I take this seriously? On the plus side, it does have some acoustic guitar, so...
I'm gonna make this place your home.
So remember when I said bands like Edward Sharpe led to the creation of Stomp Clap Hey? This song is a direct result of that. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Stomp Clap Hey is a derogatory term for indie folk bands from the late 2000s to early 2010s. Mumford & Sons, Monsters and Men, Lumineers especially. They get their name because most of their songs include some type of stomp and clap as percussion, and they'll shout hey or some dumb shit during the choruses. Look at Lumineers' Ho Hey. The stomp is the kick drum, the clap is the clap, and the hey is them saying ho hey every other measure.
I don't think you're right for him. Think of what it might have been.
Home by PHILLIPS does all this. It's got the stomp, it's got the clap, and the hey is the vocal thing he does in the chorus. It doesn't need to be hey specifically, just something you know they really want you to sing along to. I'm not gonna mince words, this song is hokey as shit. It just sounds like lesser Mumford & Sons. Like, speaking as someone who does like some of their music, even I can admit they're cheesy, but I'd like to think they tried a little harder with writing their stuff compared to Phil. This song was released in 2013, but I swear to God at least some of it's AI. Literally, I've seen people confuse this for Mumford & Sons. They actually do have a song called Home as well, unsurprisingly, but I know that's not what people mean. But it's still catchy, and kind of a guilty pleasure. Like, I never go out of my way to listen to it, but, you know, if I ever hear it in passing, I'm not complaining.
Trouble in might drag you down. You get lost, you
But let it be known, its hokiness does precede it, as I feel its mere existence alone has made every song called Home from now till the end of time just a little cheesier. Call it negative association if you like, but sometimes humanity just goes too far. Alright, that's enough criticisms. I'm done with this home improvement. As always, some of these were good, some not so much, and some that just made me laugh, but that alone gets my respect. I left a playlist with all these songs in the description. I'm not gonna say it's good, but it's something. But yeah, thanks for watching, and shout out to my Patreons too. Yeah, this is the first time I'm doing this. I feel so professional. Shout outs to all you guys. I love you very much. I'll see you soon. Bye!